My name is Jason JROCK Houston, and tonight you're listening to Under of Influence, and tonight we're speaking with Skynyrd Reloaded lead singer Tony Sedia, and you guys are of course a Lynyrd Skynyrd tribute band based out of Los Angeles. How you doing tonight, Tony?
I'm doing real well, thank you.
Now, could you start off by sharing with us how did you first get into the music of Lynyrd Skynyrd?
Well, I grew up with it. That's the first time that I heard it, and liked it ever since.
And do you remember what was?
I started getting into bands.
Yeah.
That's just kind of what the way my musical
taste went.
Is, and I lean more towards the Skynyrd music. I was in a couple just regular cover bands. And we did some Skynyrd tunes, and that was my favorite music to sing. And kind of got a group of guys together to do all Skynyrd.
Yeah, you know it's you know they put out some great music over the years. Now, do you remember what was the first song or real first Lynyrd Skynyrd album that really got under your you know, that really started to really influence you?
The very first song I ever heard was of course Sweet Home Alabama, and I heard it like on an AM radio in my mom's car, and I was like, what? Who's that?
Yeah.
And I found out who it was, and probably the first album that really got me big time hooked was their live album, One More from the Road.
Oh, okay.
We had that one summer and listened to it over and over and over and over.
And now, you know, you're a singer, obviously, and I assume before you got into the tribute scene, like a lot of guys, you were a musician doing your own original thing. So, how many years did you do that before you started, got the idea to put together a tribute band?
Actually, I kind of did it backwards. I started doing cover stuff first.
Oh, okay.
And then that kind of led into some original stuff after that, and I still do that as well. Just kind of not really full throttle right now doing original stuff, but I would say I was been doing music for probably 10 years, 15 years now.
Now, of course, you mentioned that when you were starting out that you did covers. Now, for anybody who doesn't really know, the difference between a cover band and a tribute band is a cover band is where maybe you're not necessarily playing like what you're doing, just all Lynyrd Skynyrd, but you're playing different music that was originally done by other artists, but you're playing like maybe a Deep Purple song, maybe a Black Sabbath song here or there, and just different artists. So. What got you into doing the tribute? Did you see the success that other tribute bands were having?
Yeah, we were doing a lot of late night bar gigs and stuff, and just kind of got tired of that scene, and wanted to kind of up the type of gigs that we got into casinos and fairs and stuff, which tribute bands get into a lot easier. And so that was part of the motivation, plus just kind of focusing in on doing one artist, and then also the difference between like a cover band and a tribute band, and you don't even realize it when you're in a cover band, but playing the music kind of note for note, or trying to really recreate what the original band did is a lot different than being in a cover band. Everybody kind of does their own version, but once you get the tribute band, you really kind of break everything down and try and get it real authentic as you can. So it's a little more work and a little more dedication. I
mean that's what I love about the tribute scene. I mean, I love what bands like you guys do, because for example, I was looking at some of the photos on your Facebook page, and you don't necessarily look like like Ronnie Van Zant's twin, if you know what I mean. But at the same time, you guys wear the same style of clothes. You try to look as close to what the band was doing back then, and that's the thing I really enjoy about a lot of these tribute bands, is they try to look the part. They wear the same type of stage clothes. A lot of them, they try to play the same kind of guitars and stuff. So that's really what I dig about the tribute bands. It's what I like to call rock and roll theaters. It's a little more than just five guys in a jeans and t-shirt playing their favorite cover songs.
Yeah, absolutely. It's trying to kind of recreate what it was like to see that band in their heyday, and we don't, we're not really like super look-alike, but we dress like Southern rockers, and we definitely try and play the stuff as close as possible.
And the thing, and the thing about Skynyrd is, the thing about Skynyrd is it's so much more than just a band. I mean, it's almost like a a family. It's almost like a religion in the sense that a lot of the original guys have, and even other guys that have come through the band over the years have passed on, but yet Gary Roston, he's the only original member still left. But it's kind of like a football team that one guy. If they lose one guy, they get another guy, and they just keep going and going and going, and you got to have a certain level of respect for that,
Yeah, the machine, the music just keeps living on, and that's what's really cool about it is, we play in front of, of course, older fans that grew up with it like we did, and then we also play in front of younger guys, younger audience, and even real young audience. And when they hear the music, everybody enjoys it. So once they hear it, they're like, wow, I didn't even realize all those songs were Lynyrd Skynyrd. I've heard a bunch of them on the radio and stuff.
Yeah, so, and when you,
that's kind of our goal too, is to keep their music alive and out there and get it to as many people as possible.
And when you think about how many people have come through the band, through the years, that also just goes to show you, what great songs those are. But but you don't necessarily need the original guys playing it. But any talented musician can come through that band and they'd be able to play those songs. It just goes to show you that they're that great of a group of songs, if you know what I mean. Just like I think that's why Queen's still able to go out, even though Freddie Mercury's no longer around. I mean, those are just great songs. If you get a decent enough singer, they can, any singer could perform those if they've got the, a talent.
Yeah, and you'll get an audience out to listen to it and really, really relate to it live. That's true.
And I was curious, being that you're obviously a Skynyrd fan, when the band decided to get back together in '87 after not performing together for about 10 years, how excited were you to hear not only that they were back together, but they were going to be doing new music instead of just becoming an oldies act?
At first, I was a little hesitant. I wanted to go see them live, and I did go see them live on that tour, and it was fantastic. And I was a little hesitant about them making new music and calling themselves Lynyrd Skynyrd, but the music they made is really good, and all those guys that play in the band, like you said, they got some great guitar players that have been in that band, even from other bands that they took from, like the Outlaws, Huey Thomason, and some other guitar players that played with them throughout the years. So I was pretty excited once I saw them, and I try and see them every time they come around, actually.
Yeah, and I think it's different a lot of times when you have guys in the band that have died, because and I don't believe the guys that are still left are necessarily bleeding the name of Lynyrd Skynyrd. I mean, I believe each time some guys passed on. I mean, I've heard some like Gary Roston said, for all the guys that have passed on, we're still there playing the music for them and for the fans. And I kind of think, like I said, it's almost like a brotherhood or family, and they're just keeping the legacy alive.
Yes.
Yeah. And so,
it's like a nation, like Skynyrd Nation. It's like a ton of people out there that want to see it, and they keep it going. They tour a lot too. They're on the road like 200 shows a year, so they work hard to keep it going.
Yeah, and so, do you remember the first time you put the band together and you guys did your first show? What was that like? I mean, were you amazed at the kind of response you guys started to get right away from the audience?
Yeah, actually, we were. We were really amazed.
And now, again, Skynyrd, a great classic rock band, and there's starting to be a little more Skynyrd tributes out there, but are you surprised there's not more?
Yeah, actually, I am. I am surprised there's not more. We know a lot of people in the business, and so we know it's our business to know the other Skynyrd tribute bands in the area. There's a couple in our area. Mm-hmm. There's a couple across the country, but there's not that many. And yeah, I am pretty surprised by it, actually. And
I think that's what's working in your guys' favor, besides the obvious talent in your band. There's thousands of Ozzy tributes. There's thousands of how many Led Zeppelin tributes are there around the world, or Kiss tributes, and I think the fact that there's not so many Lynyrd Skynyrd tributes right now, that's obviously got to be working for you guys.
Yeah, it helps us.
And now,
we have a lot of agents don't even recognize them as like a viable, audience pleaser. But when we do end up playing, they're really surprised by the reaction we get and the crowds we get. So it does work in our favor, definitely.
Yeah, and so do you guys typically do you have the same set list as far as the songs you perform the same set of songs every night? Do you change it up a bit from show to show?
Yeah, we try to change it up. I mean, we obviously have to play. Excuse me. We always have to play Freebird,
Sweet Home
Alabama, Simple Man. There's probably I'd say 7 or 8 songs that we have to play pretty much every time. But other than that, we try and get about 2.5, 3 hours worth of material, so we can kind of rotate the other songs around depending on the type of crowd we have. If they want to dance a little bit, or if they're hardcore Skynyrd fans and we want to play some deeper cuts that they may know. So yeah, we try not to play the same stuff all the time, but we do have a core set that we have to play almost every time.
And so, Matt, how many years has Skynyrd Reloaded been together?
We're going on our 3rd year now.
Oh wow, that's pretty good. And what keeps you going? Because I imagine you've had a few lineup changes over the years, or have you guys stayed the same group of guys from the beginning?
Actually, right now it's just me and the piano player of the same, the original guys that first joined the band. So yeah, we've gone through a couple lineup changes, and we've used some other guys from another couple Skynyrd bands that sub for us. But we keep it going because it's a good project, and once we get some quality musicians in that we find that like the stuff, they really they get really excited about it when they see the reaction when we play. So it's easy once we get started and learn some of the songs and play them live. It's easy to get guys to jump in and commit themselves. And then
I believe the guy you have playing drums for you right now, his name is Butch Florida. He's another guy I interviewed a couple years ago, and he was playing in a AC/DC tribute at the time, and I know he'd done a Guns N' Roses tribute. So he's one guy that obviously has a little bit of experience doing the tribute thing. How did you guys hook up with him?
Actually, I know Butch for quite a few years, probably at least 5 or 6 years, and just kind of crossed paths doing the tribute thing. He's in the TNT band.
Yeah.
He's actually in a couple tribute bands over the years, and I know some of the other guys that he plays with. So we crossed paths, and he actually sat in with us and learned some songs to be a sub for us one time, and I lost my other drummer to an injury. He can't drum for longer than an hour right now. His elbow's a little bit messed up, but I called Butch, and he was like, heck yeah, I'll jump right in and learn the songs, and now he's up too.
And so, I mean, a guy like that's obviously got the experience playing in different tribute band, but I think the fact that he can play, Lynyrd Skynyrd, AC/DC, and everything in between, that just goes to show, how gifted of a musician he is.
Yeah, he's really good, and he's drumming's very important in the band. I mean, if he's off, everybody's off. So he really he dedicates himself to learning the songs, and it's a little bit of a process when you first start off with some new guys. You gotta go through some trials of the rehearsals and stuff. But we're cooking pretty good. We're on a real nice roll with a lot of good gigs and good performances and playing the songs really well. So it's a lot of fun.
And let me ask you, Tony, again, another thing, Lynyrd Skynyrd's not a typical rock band in that, most bands have 4 or 5 guys. Lynyrd Skynyrd, I think, has 6 or 7 guys from time to time, plus, backup singers and sets. So do you guys have just as many guys playing in the band?
We have 6 guys, 2 guitar players,
okay,
bass player, drummer, keyboard, and me singing, and then we have 2 girls that sing backup.
Oh, that's cool.
And at larger shows where we have a big stage, we'll have an extra girl singing backup. So sometimes we'll have 3 girls, and sometimes we'll have 3 guitars as well, which was Skynyrd's original lineup. They had 3 guitar players.
Yeah. And how did you find the girls? Were they just girls that you guys knew, or friends of yours, or did you audition the singers?
We actually auditioned one girl named Lauren, and she was in a band that I was in before, sang backup, and she's great. And then when we formed this, I asked her if she wanted to do it. She said sure, and she brought one of her friends in who I'd never met before, and they sang before, and they're together. They're unbelievable. They're awesome.
I imagine they had an extra something special besides just the background. You know, they're nice eye candy, probably, besides just the background sound. But as far as a singer, how important are those background vocals to you when you're up there singing?
Certain songs is very important. Other songs not so much. I would say probably out of all the songs we do, probably a third are pretty important because there's some real big choruses in them, and the girls, you know, really make it explode with the you know, with their sound. So there's some pretty important parts when we're doing like a song like Tuesday's Gone or Simple Man, and a couple of Sweet Home Alabama, obviously too. That's got a lot of really great female vocals on it as well.
And then, you know, Sweet Home Alabama is just a great classic song, but, you know, who hasn't heard that, you know, 1,000 times on the radio? But I imagine when you guys do it live, you're able to, you know, jam it up a bit.
Yeah, we extend it. It goes through kind of like the normal progression that you hear of the studio version. Then there's a long piano solo, and then 2 guitar solos after that. So yeah, it's kind of cool. It's kind of the way they did it live way back in the 70s when they had a couple recordings and videos of it. So
that's
similar to that one. But yeah, we can extend it, which is nice.
Yeah, that's another thing. I was
to that one, so it's nice to keep them out on the floor.
Yeah, that's another thing I always loved about Skynyrd. You know, like they had, like I said, typically 3 guitar players. They had keyboards. You know, a lot of people think keyboards don't belong in rock, but I mean, you know, if you look at a band like Lynyrd Skynyrd, Deep Purple, I mean, even Elton John. That, you know, I always love, you know, rock music that's got keyboards or of some kind in it. You know, or a piano.
Yeah, it was pretty important for their sound. There's a lot of honky tonk type piano playing, which is kind of their style. But then he also played a Hammond organ and a Rhodes piano too, so he's got a lot of different sounds. But yeah, it's pretty important to the music. If it's not played, it sounds quite a bit different without the keyboard player. So
yeah, you know, and one thing, you know, Ronnie Van Zant, besides just being a great singer, I mean, I think he was one of the ultimate songwriters. I mean, if you listen to any of that music, I mean, from the original band especially, just great storytelling. You know, those songs meant something. You could tell that they were like literally page out of, you know, their life. I mean, even if you listen to the words in Freebird, like, you know, I wonder if I was gone tomorrow, you'd still remember me. I mean, how not only how poetic was that, but I mean, he wrote that before he died, and, you know, look at the hit it became.
Yeah, almost like autobiographical.
Yeah.
Autobiographical. He wrote all the lyrics, and very few times did he ever write stuff down. It was just like he kind of ad-libbed it as he went, made the words up and memorized them. And yeah, he's way underrated in my opinion as both like you said, a poet and a storyteller. All the songs have a kind of a lesson to them as well. They all have a meaning.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's great. That's what makes for. I mean, you obviously have to have talent, a little bit of talent, obviously, to be successful in the music world. But I always love songs that, like, you know, like storytelling, and they got a meaning to them, or, you know, there's a real meaning to the lyrics. You sit there and you can really tell what they wrote this about, or this was something that, you know, happened to this guy in his life, or this is, you know, I listened to a song and this is effect it had on me. I just love listening to music like that, you know.
Yeah. And the way they convey it too, you know, with the music up around the words, always gives you a lot of feeling of the meanings of the song too. And those songs stand the test of time. And like you were saying, the reaction we get, like when we play Simple Man, for instance, we always get like people singing along to every word and like come up to us afterward. Oh man, that song, you know, means so much to me. So it's pretty gratifying when we hear stuff like that.
And, you know, this may sound like a silly question, but let me ask you, Tony, being that you're a singer and, you know, you're kind of in the role of Ronnie Van Zant, you kind of get in your Ronnie mode right before you're about ready to hit the stage, or, I mean, what's the feeling like before you hit that stage?
Yeah, I try and get a little bit of, you know, quiet time right before we go on and speak a little bit and try and get in that mode, that mindset that they were. Try and kind of think about what his songs mean so I can kind of convey that as well.
And of course, you're, from time to time you're going to have you might forget a line, or might have a little bit of technical difficulty. But as far as pulling off a great show, what is a great? What's a successful show to you? What does that mean? As far as putting on a great show for your fans.
When we can kind of feel the energy coming back from the crowd. That's a good indicator. You see people up dancing around. My biggest thing is when I see people like singing along to the words that I'm singing. That's really cool. When I see people that know the stuff that well, and then probably some of the comments that are made after we're done playing that come up and let us know. But probably just the energy we feel back. Sometimes you're in a room and it's kind of dead and you don't feel it, and then other times you feel a lot of energy coming back your way, and that feeds us, and it really, that's what makes a successful show for us anyway. We start feeling that energy.
And let me ask you, Tony, because part of the reason I started interviewing guys like you playing the tribute bands is I've been to a few tribute shows myself, and I can't say I've really seen a bad one. I've enjoyed every single one I've ever seen, and I realized right away all the hard work and dedication goes into putting on a great show, which is what you guys do. But there's really a misconception out there. A lot of people, are under got the preconceived notion of, guys that play in tribute bands are just failed musicians that can't make it doing their own thing. But that's not necessarily the truth. So, and even so much to the point that while you are playing other people's music, I mean, these tribute bands have become so big, especially out here in Southern California, that a lot of you guys are almost like celebrities in the sense, like I said, Butch Flirty, your drummer, he's a guy that's been playing the scene for several years now. Many people know him from other tribute bands, and so he's almost like a celebrity in his own right. Almost as big as known as maybe John Bonham or Carmine Appice, if you know what I mean. The tribute scene has gotten that big.
Yeah, it really is around here, and you get when you're in a tribute band and you can get some. Not all the shows are real big, but you get to play in front of a lot of people sometimes at casinos, and like you said, afterward, the people come up to you and they're thrilled by what you just did, and it means a lot to them because they love the music and they heard a great version of it. So
and people may people may be under a misconception, they're just playing other people's music, but even if you go on your Facebook page or any tribute band's Facebook page, I mean, you guys got a fan base of your own. I mean, Skynyrd Reloaded, people that come to your shows, they've heard that name, and a lot of people continue to go to your shows because they've been to your shows, they enjoy what they see. I mean, I remember first time I went to see this Guns N' Roses tribute, Hollywood Rose out here, the guy looked dead on like Axl Rose from 1987, and I had to pinch myself. They were that good. I thought I was at a Guns N' Roses show, even though I was at the Whiskey, They were that good. They were that good, and that's probably as close as I'm ever going to get seeing Slash and Axl play on stage again. And if you can put on a show like that for people, that's what it's about for me.
Yeah, that's cool because Axl's still playing out there, but I don't think he can hit the notes like some guy in a tribute band might be able to hit the notes. Actually hit it back like when they're in their heyday. So that's kind of what people are looking for as well.
And you must get that like
bands that people are tributing are still out there, but they're not really quite.
I mean, you must even get that from time to time, like you're saying, people coming up to you after your show. Oh man, you guys took me back from the very first time. I remember the very first time I saw Lynyrd Skynyrd. You guys, took me back to my teenage years. That must be a great feeling.
Yeah, that's kind of what drives us to do it, actually.
And of course you're a fanboy yourself. So as far as being a Skynyrd fan yourself, so it's got to be fun getting up on that stage and playing these songs that you grew up on.
Yeah, it's great. It's really unbelievable. It's sometimes you have to rehearse the songs over and over, and you play them a bunch of times. It gets to be a little bit of a grind, but when you get up on stage to play in front of people and you get the reaction, then that's when it all starts making sense and what we do it for. So
and people, again, they have misconceptions about musicians that play in tribute bands, but I don't know if you're aware of the band Steel Panther out here in Hollywood, but but that guy, he actually got his start. The guy that's the lead singer's name's Michael Starr. He used to go by the name of Ralph Sanaz, and And for years, he was out here in the Atomic Punks, which is the premier Van Halen tribute. They were one of the first tribute bands out here. And then for a couple years after that, he joined LA Guns, which was Tracy Guns' band. But he left LA Guns to go back to do the Atomic Punks because he's making more money paying tribute to David Lee Roth and Van Halen. And then that's kind of how he came up with the idea of Steel Panther, which is more, they do their own original music, but they got that look, and they pay their tribute to the 80s kind of hair band scene. And that's how he got his start. So, if you've got the talent and you got a good idea like that, you can take it all as far as you want. I mean, even if you look at a band like the Iron Maiden as an all-female tribute to Iron Maiden, they've taken their show all around the world, like to Germany, I think even Russia and Mexico. So tribute bands are making quite a splash these days.
Yeah, there's a lot of big time shows. You get promoters calling you, and we want you to come out here to wherever across the United States. They want you to come out and play shows. It's really cool. So like you said, he was probably making more money emulating Van Halen than he was in a successful rock band out here. So you get better gigs.
Yeah.
You meet you better too.
And so, like, when you get an offer to, like, you guys, I know typically gig around the LA area because that's where you're from in Orange County, but when you get an offer to do a show like in another state, do you typically like travel in a van? You go by plane, or what's the typical routine?
Usually, it just depends on how far. Like if it's neighboring states, might drive there. If it's far, then you probably would fly. We haven't gotten one super far, so that we haven't had a flight one yet. So, but just everyone driving their separate cars or renting a van or something like that would probably be the norm. And
when you say at this point, like 3 years into your guys' career, that a lot of times when you get gigs these days, it's based on your reputation, that you guys have gigged enough around town that a lot of the club owners and the promoters know you guys just by reputation.
Yeah, and then you kind of get a reputation. They've heard about you.
Yeah.
Or every once in a while you'll be at a show, and there's a like the show we just played the other night. There was two bookers there, and they came up to me afterward and grabbed my card and said they want to book our band up in the South Bay area, like Redondo Beach, Hermosa Beach. So that kind of stuff happens too. People are out there to look for talent, and they happen to see your band, catch your band, they like it, and then you're on their list for stuff that comes up.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get a chance to make to that show, but that PCH club down here in Long Beach, that's a great little club. I've been to it a couple times now, and they usually put a great group of bands together. Like you guys were on the bill the other night with, I think, a ZZ Top tribute, a Ted Nugent tribute, and I mean that's just a great group of bands to put together. I think.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We actually all of us talked afterward, like this is a really good lineup of music. It all went together well. There's a Bad Company band there too.
Oh, okay,
really good guys, and we're talking like we need to take this thing on the road because it was all like everyone there knew all our music. They knew all the Bad Company music, the Ted Nugent music. It was all the same type of crowd. So it went all together.
And you guys have probably, of all those bands, been around the longest. I'm not sure about the ZZ Top tribute, but I think they're fairly new, and I think that might be in their first or second show in the area. They have another show coming up soon. I see. I forget where it is, but that's another great thing. Like I was saying, a ZZ Top tribute out here. I can't think of one other ZZ Top tribute. So they really and they perform as good as I think they probably did. They're feeding the demand, so to speak, if you know what I mean, just like you guys are doing.
Yeah. They don't have a whole lot of competition going against them right now. I don't know of another one either.
And then there's another one I seen down there recently called Project UFO, and they played, I think, only 2 shows at this point, but they're really good at what they do. I mean, UFO is a band that was very big in Europe, but again, I can't think of one other UFO tribute band right now besides them, and so I think it's great when you can get together with a lot of these new tribute bands just coming up on the scene.
Yeah, that's a good band. I know some people in that band too, the UFO band. They're
yeah,
great.
yeah.
Good music. That was another live album that came out, and a bunch of great songs on it too.
And so, yeah. And so, let me ask you, Tony. This must be a hard question, but is there a song that you really enjoy playing, a Lynyrd Skynyrd song, when you guys are up there? A song that really gets your rocks off. You know what I mean?
Simple Man would probably be one of them. Definitely. I really like Tuesday's Gone too. It's kind of a ballad, but it gets real powerful in the middle. It's got a lot of meaning. Those are probably my two favorite to sing.
Okay.
A little more difficult vocals to them.
Yeah. And so typically, I guess it depends on the gig, but typically, like, when you guys are doing a headlining show, how long is your set usually?
Anywhere between like an hour and a half to 2 hours. That's usually about the longest we play.
Oh, okay. And how often do you guys typically gig a year? Is it just a matter of how many gigs you get lined up, or?
Yeah, I would say we average like once a month. So anywhere between like 12 and 15 a year, probably, as a normal year.
Oh, okay. And
once
so,
a month, and sometimes we get two in a month. So.
And so, are you like a lot of guys, which meaning that you're a working musician, that this is kind of your fun job, but you have a day job to help support what you do?
Yes, yeah, I have a normal 7 to 4 job, and then this is a hobby or kind of a fun job to do that I enjoy.
And so, I was curious, have you ever like invited any of your coworkers from your day job to come to one of your shows, and what was that like?
Yeah, actually I have. It was one time my boss came to one too. It was a little interesting.
They're like, oh, I seen a different side of you, man.
It was actually cool.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. I thought I was going to be a little extra nervous or whatever, but I just did my thing, and they loved it, and they still talk about it. So they kind of like now they try and come out to a lot of my shows. Some of the people I work with. So.
And I imagine it's a great way to kind of get your angst out. Like if you're having a bad day at work or something, I mean, you have a show on a Friday or Saturday night, you can just kind of get up there on the stage and just do your thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's probably the best way that I know of to blow off steam. I mean, at the end of a show, a 2-hour set or something like that, you're pretty exhausted from the physicality of it, but you're also kind of like calmed down and at peace. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
stress has been released.
And like I said, the tribute scene out here, especially in LA, has become really big. And kind of the pinnacle of a tribute scene is this TV show called The World's Greatest Tribute Bands. I was curious if you guys have ever been approached about appearing on that.
No, I haven't. Last year I was going to put in an application, but I was kind of in between getting some new people going. But that's definitely something I'm going to look into soon. Put my application in and see if we can get on there.
Yeah, and what I dig about that show is, obviously to even get on the show, you got to have some level of talent and showmanship. But they don't just have like one type of band. It's not like all metal bands or all pop bands. I mean, like they've had a Def Leppard tribute. I think last week we had a Stevie Wonder tribute, and so that's another thing I kind of dig is that you got a little bit of everything on that show.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. They had a Stevie Wonder. I think they had an Elvis guy.
Fleetwood Mac.
An Elton John.
Yeah.
They go through the gamut. One of the guys that played in our band before, he's in a Foreigner band. They're playing tomorrow night.
Oh, cool. Yeah, and so if you don't mind me asking, what do you do during your day job, or what type of job is it?
I do construction work for a home.
Oh, okay.
Building company.
Oh, wow. So totally two separate worlds. That's totally great that you kind of
Yeah, it's nothing musical about it, really.
Yeah. And so speaking of your career as a musician, were you always a singer? Did you play the guitar or anything as well?
I can play a little bit of guitar. I'm not that great at guitar. I can play piano a little bit better, but mostly singing. I can play piano well enough to accompany myself to sing. I wouldn't call myself like a pianist or anything, but
But a lot of times, you know, I'd imagine that even when you're just writing songs, that you start off playing on a piano or something, right? Yeah. Oh, okay. And I was curious, Tony, as far as when you were starting out as a musician, were you kind of just the guy in the band that sang because you had the best voice?
Yeah, kind of. It kind of came about. I know some guitar players, and they were singing some songs, and they asked me to, you know, sing along with them, and I actually sang better than them. They're like, "Wow, you should be the, the lead singer." So.
Okay, well,
I kind of worked my way up from there and learned a little bit more about singing, and I have a pretty good ear, so I can do it pretty well. I just need to keep up. The older I get, it's a little tougher to keep up on my, my voice.
And so, as far as doing the Skynyrd Reloaded, do you really got to get your, your voice in your case is your instrument. You really have to get practice a lot, or do exercises with your voice to stay in shape.
Yeah, I try and sing a little bit, at least every other day. Get the warm-ups and the vocal exercises, and then of course we have rehearsals. We usually have one real good rehearsal before we play a gig. Go through our set list, and that you have to kind of sing out loud a couple times, a week too. Because just doing the vocal exercises isn't the same as getting up on stage and singing about guitars and stuff like that.
Well, Tony, I really enjoyed talking to you tonight. I want to thank you for taking time to do this out of your busy schedule. I really appreciate it. Is there anything else you'd like to say to people listening to this before we let you go?
Well, just come on out and check our band out. I think if you like Lynyrd Skynyrd, you'll love our band. We do it pretty well.
Well, yeah. I mean.